number.
This is Lindsay McDougall on ABC Illawarra.
And let me know if you've been scammed. More than $3.1 billion was lost to scams in 2022, according to that new report we were hearing about this morning from the ACCC. An increase of 80% from 2021. And the ACCC fears the real figure could be much higher because a lot of us don't come forward. This is lost to fake investment schemes, text message scams. So why is the number of scams skyrocketing and what can we do about it? Dan Halpin is the CEO of Cybertrace, a cybercrime private investigation firm. And Dan is with me now. Hello there.
Good afternoon. How are you going?
I'm good. $3.1 billion lost to scams back in 2021. What do you make of that figure?
Well, that figure would be the minimum amount that has been actually lost. So we are aware from my company's operations that a large percentage of people reporting to us as a private industry member, they don't actually report the scam to the authorities. So 3.1 million is the absolute minimum.
Why is that? Why would they not? Is it embarrassment, or do they just think that there's no point?
I would say it would be a combination of both, but what we're seeing, the biggest issue at this stage is that people will have little confidence in the authorities to actually make a difference. And that's not to discredit the authorities. This is actually coming from the victims themselves, where, for example, I'll give you one case that we had recently where an individual was scammed. We did some level of an investigation and managed to trace some cryptocurrency. That person was then encouraged by us to go to their local police station and make a report. And they did that, but the officer at the police station basically said, well, I'm not going to take a report. It's most likely outside of our jurisdiction with the funds going overseas. So that person then actually had to go to another police station to try to make a report. And it's that basic level reporting or disinterest from the authorities which is really starting to impact on the capability of the Australian authorities to make some meaningful difference when it comes to cybercrime.
So do you think that has there been a failure? And I think I may be quoting you here. Tell me about what you think about a failure of police to adapt to the rise of cybercrime, and why is that? Is it because the jurisdiction is international? Is it because it is something that's happening that is, for most of us, completely above our knowledge of how things work?
I think there's a large institutional failure in the sense that there is not enough training given to police in the police stations who are taking the initial reports. So the lack of the training and understanding and solid policy and procedure to be able to take the initial reports, that is, in my view, the most difficult issue to overcome, but it's also the most likely issue that is coming forward at this stage.
Did you used to work with the police?
I did, yes. 10 years of my professional career was with the police.
And so were you involved in sort of the cyber world then? Is that something that you noticed while you were working with the police? Have you managed to do more now outside of the force?
Most definitely. So the majority of my work was prior to the explosion in cybercrimes. Right. So I finished with the police in 2011. Although I did learn some early stage investigative capability for online matters, most of my expertise has come after the fact. And the issue is that we do try to actively work with police because of our unique skill set and capability. And that is a slow process. And like I said before, I don't necessarily want to criticise the police too heavily, considering the other major crimes that they do deal with. But I do feel that they are lacking behind quite a fair bit in terms of identifying and addressing the issue of cybercrime. Because let's face it, it's not going anywhere in a hurry. If anything, it's going to grow substantially, and we need to see an equal amount of effort being put in by the authorities to tackle it.
And what are some of the most common types of scams that you with Cybertrace investigate?
The majority are related to cryptocurrencies, and we do focus on that level of technology to quite a large extent for that reason. And I think, well, from reviewing the ACCC report that was released just recently, that tends to confirm what we're seeing from the private level side of things, where cryptocurrency crime is fairly substantial and it is also growing in nature. One of the other trends that we are seeing at the moment is a large increase in message-based scamming, and that could be anything from Telegram to WhatsApp to SMS, and a lot of those are to do with fake job opportunities. And I see from the ACCC report that they do recognise that scam type, but the actual number were quite low for their reporting year, which was 2022. So what I forecast for the current year is that we'll see a massive increase in the amount of job opportunity scams.
I was speaking to Dan Halpin from Cybertrace. What you've made me think of then, when we talk about these ideas of people being a bit stretched with cash and they see an opportunity come up, is those... To me, they seem obviously fake, but you see a picture of David Koch or David Campbell saying the Commonwealth Bank didn't want them to know about this, or this was cut off during their TV show or whatever. And it looks like a news.com.au article. You click on it, and presumably it gives you some get-rich-quick scheme. Is that kind of thing still doing the rounds? Because I'm pretty sure I've seen them recently.
Absolutely. So even myself, about an hour ago, before this interview, I received an SMS purporting to be from the Commonwealth Bank, and following that link in a safe environment, because we do have those capabilities in Cybertrace, we were able to see that it was a very complex phishing website that was proposing to be the Commonwealth Bank. And we are seeing that the Commonwealth Bank is actively advising consumers that they are seeing a lot more activity of their brand being used to try to scam consumers. But if I'm seeing it, no doubt the majority of Australians are also seeing the same thing.
Yeah, and presumably Koshi is not giving out any investment advice that's been cut out of his TV shows that you can get access to by clicking a link.
That is right. I think it's a fair stretch, but unfortunately not all Australians are as aware of scamming practices and capabilities. Right. Some may be a little bit more gullible than others. And there are also individuals that are being hit by these scams who are from special groups that would be more likely to become victims of these scams.
We're going to be speaking soon to John Lyons, who's looking at Russian hackers on Four Corners tonight, who are targeting Australia. In fact, one hacker they spoke with said Australians are the stupidest when it comes to scams. How does our rate of scams compare around the world?
Well, we are getting targeted quite a lot, and we're getting this information directly from, we're running a lot of informants overseas in the call centres that are targeting Australians, and it does range. We had a tip-off recently that about 1/3 of victims from this one organisation were Australian, and we also know that the British and the Canadians are also being quite heavily hit, but Australians would rank, I would say, in the top 4 of nations being targeted by not only scams but also ransomware and hacking events.
And how often can an organisation like yourselves bring justice for a customer, whether that be return of money, criminal charges, shutting down, an organisation, a nefarious organisation?
It is very much a difficult process. So when we break all this down, what we're looking at is international fraud. And these guys are definitely coming from organised crime syndicates. The chances of getting an actual recovery, it would be quite difficult, we could say, and especially because these cases can run for years. It's also not an easy, quick fix scenario. And we do see a lot of foreign websites promoting the fact that they can get a recovery almost straight away, that they recover millions of dollars every 3 months. That's just not realistic, and it's most likely a secondary scam as well.
Oh, no. You can't have people pretending to help you get your money back from a scam, and they are also scamming. That's like a double cross.
It is, and it's very heartbreaking for us because being an Australian provider, we're fully licensed, insured, a great deal of experience, and then we have someone call us up and say, look, I've been scammed twice, and the second time was a fake asset recovery company.
Wow.
So although we'd love to be able to help these individuals, they're left in a position where they can no longer afford our services to be able to investigate and identify the offender. And that's the key point when you're looking at any sort of operation to recover funds. You can never get your money back unless you know who actually has your money. And most of these websites are running anonymous. So that's where an organisation such as Cybertrace comes in, where our priority is to identify the offenders, and then we may work with some trusted partners to look at the recovery process, but we are primarily investigators. That is our role.
And what advice do you have to avoid scams? Like, what tools have been set up by Cybertrace?
We do have a number of tools available on our website. So we have, the latest one that we have is a scam reporting and lookup database. So you can either go and report a scam's phone number via our website, and that information is then shared with law enforcement, or you can also look up a number and see what level of risk goes with that number. So if it, for example, is a hi mum scam, you're not sure whether this is really your child or not, you can go to our website, look it up, and our website will tell you whether there is a risk or not. And secondly, also with websites, so something quite similar, you can put in the web address into our scam sleuth database, and that will also come back with information to indicate whether this is likely a scam or not.
And just finally, that text message that you probably got this morning, because I certainly did, your item was redirected to our depot. It was not from Ozpost. They didn't even spell Ozpost right. It's AU Post.
Right, okay. Well, the reason for that is because of recent government changes where they're requiring telcos to block those alphanumeric text messages going out. Oh. So where someone used to be able to have the capability to spell Ozpost correctly, now they're looking for a workaround. So obviously that's a loophole, but hopefully that'll be closed very soon as well.
Thanks to people like yourself. Dan Halpin, thank you very much for talking us through all that. Have yourself a great afternoon.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Let me know if you have been hacked. Maybe you haven't reported it for those reasons Dan was saying. You just didn't think anything would happen. Maybe the police weren't as helpful. We'll cross to Ukraine next and talk about international hacking, that Medibank hack, that Latitude hack.